The night did not cry out. It held its breath. High in the Carpathian hills, Cachtice Castle stood like a scar carved into the mountain, cold, ancient, watching. Villagers below believed the wind avoided it on purpose, as if even nature feared what waited inside. Dogs whimpered when its silhouette darkened the moon. Horses refused to climb the road after sunset. And in its highest chamber, surrounded by mirrors and candlelight, lived a woman the world praised for her beauty, and would one day curse for her hunger. Elizabeth Báthory did not fear death. She feared time. Elizabeth had been told since childhood that she was exceptional, born to power, wealth, and a face men would kneel for. Beauty was not a gift to her. It was proof that she was meant to rule. But one evening, as candlelight wavered across her reflection, she saw it. A flaw, so small no one else would notice. A faint line near the eyes. A whisper of change. Her fingers tightened against the vanity. Everything rots, she murmured, not in sadness, but in fury. Except what refuses to. That night, a servant girl made a mistake. A brush fell. A hand trembled. The punishment was meant to be routine, discipline, nothing more. Until blood touched Elizabeth's skin. Warm, bright, alive. She paused, and the mirrors seemed to watch back. The castle began to change, not in stone, but in sound. Footsteps echoed longer. Doors closed softer. Servants stopped asking questions. Girls arrived from distant villages promised work, safety, coin. They entered through the gates. They did not leave. Deep beneath the castle, rooms were prepared. Places with no windows, no prayers, no mercy. Elizabeth descended those stairs not with madness, but with focus. Pain, she believed, revealed truth. And blood? Blood revealed power. The first screams were shocking. The 100th were routine. She learned what cold did to flesh. How fire persuaded screams from lungs already torn. How needles could map agony across skin like an artist sketching a masterpiece. She watched closely, head tilted, eyes unblinking, beautiful and empty. And always the mirror waited. One winter night, Elizabeth stood naked beneath torchlight. A basin was carried forward, heavy and steaming. When the blood touched her skin, she inhaled sharply, not from revulsion, but recognition. Her reflection shimmered, skin flushed, eyes brightened. Time seemed confused. From that moment, killing was no longer enough. It became ritual. Blood was collected carefully, baths prepared, candles lit like a black mass. Elizabeth lowered herself slowly, as if entering sacred water, convinced that youth itself screamed as it was stolen. Each ritual deepened her belief. Each death made her feel invincible. Servants who helped her were bound by fear, and by guilt too deep to escape. Some went mad. Some vanished. Silence became the castle's true language. Years passed, and the countryside grew quiet. At first, no one questioned missing peasant girls. Hunger and disease were common excuses, but eventually, there were no daughters left to offer. That was when the Countess made her fatal mistake. Noble girls began to disappear. Daughters of minor lords, nieces of officials, bloodlines with names that carried weight. Mothers wrote letters. Fathers demanded answers. Rumors crawled toward the king like wounded animals. Inside the castle, Elizabeth sensed the shift, but she did not stop. She had gone too far to turn back. If death was closing in, she would outlast it. When investigators finally arrived, they expected exaggeration. They found hell. Blood-soaked floors. Survivors barely breathing, skin torn, eyes empty. Corpses stacked where the living once prayed. Records, cold, meticulous, counting victims not as lives, but as experiments. The order did not come from frightened villagers. It came from the throne. Reports of missing noble girls reached Matthias II, King of Hungary. He could no longer ignore them. Quietly, without public accusation, he authorized an investigation, led by the Palatine, Georgi Thurzo, a man powerful enough to confront her. For months, Thurzo gathered sworn testimonies. Survivors spoke. Servants broke. Records surfaced. When the evidence could no longer be denied, He moved, not with an army, but with authority. In December 1610, investigators entered Cachtice Castle without warning. They caught Elizabeth in the act. Victims lay dying. Blood stained the floors. The rumors ended. She was not dragged away screaming. She was placed under arrest, coldly, formally, by men who finally had proof. Only then was the Blood Countess seized. Elizabeth did not scream when seized. She did not cry. She simply stared, as if offended that mortals dared interrupt her defiance of time. Too powerful to execute, too monstrous to free. So they chose a punishment that would echo forever. Stone by stone, they sealed her inside her own chamber. No door, no window, only a slit for bread and water. The mirrors were left with her. Days passed, then weeks. Elizabeth paced, scratched, whispered to her reflection. Without blood, the illusion faded. Skin dulled. Eyes sank. Time returned, with interest. When she died, there was no witness. Only the castle remained. Centuries later, visitors claim the walls weep when rain falls. That footsteps echo where no one walks. That mirrors inside ruined chambers cloud without reason. And sometimes, just sometimes, people swear they hear a woman whispering, furious and afraid. Time is a lie. Perhaps history ended her life. But legends insist it never ended her will. Because some stories do not fade. They wait. She tried to steal eternity and became something that refuses to die. Some legends refuse to die. If this story stirred the darkness within you, join us beyond the ordinary. Like, share, and subscribe.